a leadership coach, and today what I'm doing is speaking to you about our third pillar, which is responsibility. And it's an interesting one, responsibility. People don't hear responsibility, and so the way that I like to break it down is that we are response-able. To be responsible is that we're able to respond. That's the context in which I work within. Most people hear the context of responsibility in and around blame. And that comes down to our conditioning, parents, school, whatnot. You know, for God's sake, be responsible and get your homework in on time, or clean your bedroom, implying the whole time that you're irresponsible and therefore to blame for the room being, you know, untidy or your homework not being in on time. So I don't want us to hear this as being, you know, people say, how am I to blame for this? For whatever circumstances have happened in their lives. No. It's able to respond. How am I responsible? How am I able to respond to whatever the circumstances are that have turned up in my life? When I choose to engage in responsibility, then I start to take ownership for everything that turns up in my life. And through the ownership aspect of it, I can therefore and change the context of the meaning of whatever's occurred. Because essentially what happens is that in a life, we have a series of events that occur, and in those events, we make a decision or a judgment about it. And we'll usually, if we're going to context it to be very simple right now, it might be a good event or a negative event, a bad event. That's how we normally categorize them. But those judgments, those decisions that we've made are just choices. And we could easily choose again or respond again if we were aware and if we felt the inclination to do so. And on many occasions, we've had moments or events that have turned up in our lives that years later or 6 months later or whatever, in the fullness of time is what I'd like to, you know, categorize it in. We look back at that event, and whilst it was painful at the time, we look back at it and we go, well, geez, that was one of the best things that probably ever happened to me. So at some stage, all we did was make a new choice in and around what that event meant, based on some further information that came along, or opportunities, or whatever it happens to be. We can do that at any time in our lives, and we can do that right in the middle of difficult circumstances. We can choose to respond and choose a meaning that changes the entire context of pretty much any event that turns up in our life. Now, I don't know about you, when I was first presented with that was incredibly challenging, but I've been, you know, disciplined in my practice of this. And whilst I certainly fall down the cracks of not wanting to take responsibility, when I do, everything instantly changes, literally, for me. Some little key signs of when I'm not taking responsibility. I'm usually feeling very angry or frustrated. Anger and frustration is a consequence of not taking responsibility. So if you're in your everyday life at the moment and you're feeling angry or frustrated, then what I'd suggest is ask yourself the following question. This is interesting. I wonder where I'm not taking responsibility for my life at this point in time, or for a certain circumstance. Why would I do that? Why would I ask myself? Why would I turn an event back on myself to take ownership of it? So that I can change the context of it. Through changing the context, I change the feeling of it. If you don't want to change how you're feeling about a certain circumstance or how you're just feeling in general, then don't bother. It's okay. But if you're not happy with the way that you're feeling, then maybe what I've got to say here today might lead you down a path that can change that feeling. My name's Gio. I'm a leadership coach, as I said. Follow us on Instagram. I look forward to seeing you in our further posts. Thanks.